getting close.
Keanu Reeves is getting ready to return as John Wick once again, but fans shouldn't expect the fifth movie to arrive anytime soon. Even though John Wick 5 is officially happening, it still looks like the project is in its early stages, so there's going to be a bit more waiting before the legendary assassin is back on the big screen. When John Wick Chapter 4 was released, it looked like the franchise had reached its natural ending. The movie wrapped up with John apparently sacrificing himself, and the emotional final scenes made many fans believe that his story was finally over. It felt like a bold decision because most blockbuster franchises rarely let their main character go, especially when they're as popular as John Wick. But the filmmakers decided to take that risk, and it ended up becoming one of the biggest talking points after the movie came out. For quite a while after Chapter 4, both Keanu Reeves and director Chad Stahelski weren't exactly rushing to make another sequel. They repeatedly explained that they would only return if they found an idea that genuinely deserved another movie. They didn't want to continue the series just because it was successful. Instead, they wanted a story that felt meaningful enough to justify bringing John back after such a powerful ending. That patience eventually paid off, because in April 2025, Lionsgate officially confirmed that John Wick 5 was moving forward. Reeves would once again star as the legendary hitman while also producing the movie. Chad Stahelski is returning to direct, with longtime producers Basil Iwanek and Erica Lee also coming back to help guide the franchise into its next chapter. That announcement immediately got fans excited because it confirmed that the team behind the previous movies would remain together. Now there's another encouraging update, although it still doesn't answer the biggest question everyone has. During an interview with Business Insider while promoting the studio's upcoming Michael Jackson biopic, Lionsgate executive Adam Fogelson shared where things currently stand with John Wick 5. According to him, Reeves and Stahelski have finally landed on a core concept that they're genuinely excited about. That might sound like a small update, but it's actually an important milestone because finding the right story was always the biggest obstacle preventing the sequel from moving ahead. Fogelson explained that there are still a bunch of steps left before the movie becomes reality, so he didn't want to promise any release date. Instead, he simply said that the creative team believes they've found an idea worth exploring, and now they'll continue building everything around it. That cautious response makes sense, because developing a John Wick movie isn't something that happens overnight. He also confirmed another important detail. Before John Wick 5 reaches theaters, two other projects from the franchise will arrive first. One is the Kane spin-off starring Donnie Yen, while the other is the previously announced animated prequel centered on John's past. So although the fifth movie is definitely happening, fans will have a couple of other stories to enjoy before Reeves officially returns. That timeline isn't very surprising, because Chad Stahelski has been incredibly busy outside the John Wick universe. Even though he still oversees the overall direction of the franchise, he has several other major projects demanding his attention. The biggest one is the Highlander reboot starring Henry Cavill, which is already in production. Since that movie has been in development for years, it makes sense that Stahelski wants to finish it before fully focusing on John Wick 5. Keanu Reeves has also had an incredibly packed schedule. Even though many people mainly associate him with John Wick these days, he's been involved in a bunch of different projects across several genres. He recently voiced Shadow in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, and he's also appearing in Aziz Ansari's comedy Good Fortune along with Jonah Hill's Outcome. On top of that, Reeves is returning as Duke Kaboom in Toy Story 5. Because of all these commitments, it's understandable why fitting another massive action movie into his schedule isn't something that can happen immediately. Although John Wick 5 doesn't have a release window yet, the franchise itself certainly isn't slowing down. Lionsgate continues expanding this universe in multiple directions because audiences are still interested in exploring its world of assassins, secret organizations, and mysterious rules. The biggest upcoming project is easily the Kane spin-off. Donnie Yen's blind assassin became one of the standout characters in John Wick Chapter 4 because of his unique fighting style and emotional storyline. Fans immediately wanted to see more of him, so Lionsgate quickly moved ahead with a standalone movie. Yen won't only star in the film but will also direct it, giving him even more creative control over the project. Rina Sawayama is expected to return alongside Yen after making her franchise debut in Chapter 4. The movie was originally supposed to begin filming in 2024, although those plans changed over time. According to more recent reports, production is finally expected to start soon, which could put the movie on track for a release sometime toward the end of 2027 if everything stays on schedule. Then there's the animated John Wick prequel, which has generated plenty of curiosity because it will explore events from John's earlier life. Fogelson's comments suggest that this movie will arrive after the Kane spin-off, making an early 2028 release seem like a realistic possibility. That timeline also makes sense because animated movies usually require several years of production before they're ready for theaters. Animation gives the creators a lot more freedom to explore parts of John's past that would be difficult or expensive to recreate in live action. It also allows them to expand the mythology without worrying about the physical limitations that naturally come with live-action filmmaking. So even though it's a different format, it could end up adding a lot of interesting details to John's history. But even with these projects moving forward, the biggest mystery surrounding John Wick 5 is still its screenplay. While Fogelson confirmed that Reeves and Stahelski finally have an exciting central idea, nobody knows how far along the actual script is. Finding a concept is one thing, but transforming that concept into a complete screenplay takes time because every scene, every action sequence, and every emotional moment has to work together. That's probably why Fogelson kept emphasizing that making the movie involves a bunch of different stages. Once the script reaches a solid draft, the team still has casting, scheduling, location scouting, choreography, stunt preparation, and months of production ahead. Since the John Wick movies are famous for their elaborate action scenes, preparation alone can take a very long time. Another challenge is figuring out how to continue John's story after the ending of Chapter 4. That ending received praise from both fans and critics because it felt emotional and surprisingly satisfying. Bringing John back means the filmmakers need to explain how he survived without making the previous ending feel meaningless. That's a difficult balance to achieve because audiences accepted his apparent death as the perfect conclusion. Because of that challenge, some fans have started arguing that another upcoming John Wick project might actually be even more exciting than John Wick 5 himself. That project is the newly announced John Wick video game. The biggest advantage of the game is that it doesn't need to undo Chapter 4's ending at all. Instead of continuing the story after John's apparent death, the game can simply revisit an earlier point in his life. It could take place before the first John Wick movie or fit into one of the smaller gaps between existing films, much like Ballerina explored events that happened between the third and fourth movies. That approach removes a lot of pressure because the developers don't have to explain how John returned. They can simply tell another exciting story from his past while keeping the ending of Chapter 4 completely intact. As a result, the game has very little risk of damaging the emotional impact of the movies that came before it. In fact, expanding John's earlier adventures could actually make his overall story even stronger. Learning more about his legendary reputation, his missions, and the choices that shaped his life could add new emotional weight to everything that eventually happens later in the films. Sometimes prequels succeed because they deepen our understanding of characters without changing the endings we already know. There's also another reason why the video game has so much potential. Instead of simply watching John Wick fight his way through impossible situations, players will actually control him themselves. They'll be able to perform the stylish gun-fu combat, tactical shooting, and close-quarters combat that made the movies famous. Becoming the Baba Yaga firsthand is a completely different experience from sitting in a theater watching someone else do it. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.